One of my basic beliefs as a luthier is that decent instruments are all about efficient conversion of the kinetic energy from a player's hand into sound. Now obviously there are going to be many contributing factors to that efficiency, but in my opinion two of those are a stiff neck and a very rigid neck joint. So in this video I'm going to show you how I've achieved that with this instrument here. Well, you can see here the mortise for the neck joint. And I've done that before I've glued the back plate or the front plate on, so that the rim can be held flat and this can be routed out accurately. As you can see, it's quite a large mortise, and it gives you a massive amount of surface area for gluing. Okay, so here's the body, complete, looking very, very elegant with the ebony bindings. But the next step is to fit the neck. So here's the mortise part, the pocket part of the neck joint, and you can appreciate now that we've got the arch of the top plate and the arch of the back plate how difficult it would have been to have cut that part out now. So that's why I did it when it was just the flat rim. So into that will go the neck. So I've already marked out and cut the tenon. Obviously this needs some very fine tuning now with chisels and files, etc., to get it to fit perfectly into that pocket there. The main challenge really is alignment. Obviously along the length of the instrument, the neck, the centre line of the neck has got to be aligned with the centre line of the body, but then what you're also looking at is the way the neck leans, and you're kind of aiming for this imaginary point at about here, which would be the centre of the saddle. So when I'm checking the neck for its alignment, if I want the neck to move one way, by removing a little bit of wood here and some on here, that will give it the freedom to move in that direction. Equally, by trimming the shoulders and the bottom of the tenon, I can adjust the pitch, the angle of the neck. So that's what I'm going to do now. So as you can see, the neck is almost there. It needs to go a little bit lower so that I get the correct gap at the bridge height, and it also needs to come over this way a fraction. I mean, and when I say a fraction, we're talking about 1 millimetre or so. So I've just got to do a little bit more work on the tenon there, and it should be ready to go. Okay, so the neck is now perfectly aligned. Put a couple of pieces of masking tape on here, so I've got a centre line. It's at the right pitch. Shoulders are nice and crisp, so I'm really happy with that. Ready really to glue it on. You can see that the neck's quite a tight fit. These days I use epoxy resin to glue the necks on, really, because I do get my necks such a tight fit. You find with something like Titebond, because it contains water, moisture, if you've got a very tight joint, the moisture in the glue can make the wood swell up, and you're in danger, as I've learnt from bitter experience, of the neck joint locking up before it's actually pushed all the way home. So epoxy resin, being chemical based, doesn't affect the wood like that, and if anything it almost acts as a lubricant, so it slides in better. So I'll be epoxying that in a moment, and you might see that there's a saw cut here. That part of the tenon will be removed later when I do the fingerboard extension, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. So there we have it. The neck has been glued on with epoxy resin. The blue tape's there just in case any glue oozes out. We don't want it to make a mess on the body. I don't use any shims, any clamps. It's just about an accurate joint and the glue and gravity. And I suppose the actual fitting of the tenon to the body, aligning it, gluing on, has taken me about an hour and a half. And really, back in the day when I started out, I can remember spending maybe a couple of days doing this. Terribly frustrating, but there you go, that's what experience is all about. So wait a couple of hours and take the tape off and admire it. See you then.